Over the past few years, everything has changed. Where and how we work and live, the way we collaborate and measure success, and the emerging technologies we use to get it all done. Welcome to The Bridge. Join our host, Scott Kinka, in a series of discussions with top leaders in technology and learn about how they bridge their lives and their businesses into our new hybrid work and AI-driven reality. Our hope is that the insights and experiences will help you on your journey in business and in life from who we were to who we are today. And maybe it'll help you get better prepared for whatever comes next. The Bridge is a service of Bridgepoint Technologies, the nation's leading IT advisory firm. Bridgepoint helps business leaders evaluate, procure, implement, and manage technology and customer experience solutions with a focus on realizing sustainable results for your business growth. And now, here's your host, Scott Kinka.
I think most people believe that AI, left to run amok, could be dangerous. Maybe not in an overt sci-fi kind of way, but more along the lines of it being used by the bad guys to do bad things faster, cheaper, maybe even autonomously. Most agree that guardrails are necessary, maybe in the form of regulations. But does anyone actually expect the bad guys to follow the rules? Are we already in an inevitable race to the tipping point? My guest on this episode is also my first repeat guest on the pod. Truth be told, he was our first guest on the pod, Artie Chang, CEO of Panterra Networks. And this conversation takes a decidedly different tone than our first. We talk about running blindly into technology revolution while still serving the needs of the people who aren't maybe so revolutionary. We talk about coexisting with the big guys, but remaining committed to your own niche innovation, and how hybrid work is a little different from this time last year, even if you work at the companies who have become synonymous with work from home. It's an entertaining 30 minutes with a truly thoughtful veteran of our industry. And if you find our work here on The Bridge as entertaining to listen to as we are having fun making it, please follow or comment on The Bridge with Scott Kinka on your favorite podcast platform. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, we're everywhere. Make sure to find us. But here is my conversation with Artie Chang, CEO of Panterra Networks. Hi, and welcome to The Bridge. My guest this week should be familiar to fans of the pod. Artie Chang, who is the CEO of Panterra Networks, is with me. How are you, Artie? It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Scott.
When we last spoke, you told this great story about like all of your grown children coming and moving back into the house during the pandemic. Have you shed all of them? Are you back to empty nesting in the house there, Artie?
Well, when you have 10 kids, I don't think you're ever empty nester anymore. And now what's happened is I've moved from the phase of getting them all out to now celebrating more weddings and grandchildren.
Sure.
So I'm now a grandfather 2 times over and expecting a third one as a Halloween baby. And I have another wedding coming up and an engagement coming up. And so, we just got 6 more to go.
So are the grandkids, the 2 now, the third coming, but the 2, your grandfather twice over, that this year? You didn't have any grandkids when we spoke last?
I don't remember. Did we speak a year ago? I had one
year, yeah.
I had one grandchild who just turned 2.
Okay.
And then, yes, I just had a grandchild on July 1st.
Oh, wow.
And
freshly minted grandfather 2 times over. Congratulations to that.
They're all boys. They can't seem to get a girl yet. The one who's expecting coming is also a boy. So we're waiting for our first granddaughter.
Well, the name will continue at the very least, Artie, right? You'll pass the Chang on.
There's a billion of us Changs, so I think I have to worry about passing the name on.
Understood. So, when we spoke a year or so ago, you told obviously the Panterra story. I'll give you the opportunity to give us the pitch again. But we did talk quite a bit about the pandemic and kind of how you guys worked through it and the product and the whole 9 yards. So I think what I'd love to focus on today is just kind of, how you see the market having evolved from, reactionary post-pandemic to, what customers really want today as they're hardening their plans. So we'll focus on that, and I'll ask you a couple questions on that. But let me ask you just to give for the listeners who maybe didn't see the previous episode, can you just explain, briefly Panterra Networks for us?
Yeah, Panterra is a very unique cloud communications company. We're unique in the fact that we're both a technology provider and a service provider, which means we develop the solutions that we deploy, and we actually deploy and support the solutions as a full-fledged service provider. The product we deliver is called Streams. It uniquely combines unified communications, full team collaborations, and content sharing into a single customizable end-to-end solution that's delivered securely from the cloud. So we focus very specifically on mid-market enterprises. Our sweet spot is, say, 50 to 1,000 users. And we're very passionate about what we do. I think that's the other thing that I think you asked me last time what our superpower was, and it's really passion. We have passion for our employees. We have passion for our solutions that we create. We have passion for our partners. And most of all, we have passion for the customers that we try to create lifetime relationships with.
So it's interesting. I mean, so much of communications today is, a derivative of what happened to us in the pandemic. I mean, it's funny. I've had many conversations. We've had all the, major players in UCaaS on the show since our last meeting. And for many of them, they all kind of agreed on one very simple fact that, where collab was sort of the collaboration aspects, right? The chat, the video meetings, the file sharing components were the add-on features to voice, 2019 and before that. And then from 2020 on, voice is the add-on feature to the collaboration stack. I wonder how you feel about that statement. Concur, differ at all? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, we've really gone through I would say, revolutionary change. I think it was so jarring in how it was forced upon the business world that it caused knee-jerk reactions from our customers and quite frankly from us as service providers. Everybody jumped on this bandwagon of collaboration and remote work. And I think, as with all revolutions or extremely fast evolutions, there's a settling out period, a period where people come kind of back to reality. We saw a lot of our customers knee jerk into completely eliminating the evaluation process for picking service providers and technology and just jumping on the bandwagon of industry giants that happen to be able to provide some of the solution. And people are now going back to real evaluation of products and solutions that best fit their businesses. And I think we're in that phase now where people are getting back to reality, getting back to reason, and realizing that remote work is just another tool in the workforce ecosystem. So, and the best example I can use of that is that even Zoom has now required their employees to come back to the workplace. And if I survey sort of my 10 children who are all in professional careers, literally every one of them has some kind of hybrid work policy now. So maybe they're required to come in 3 days a week, or they might be required to come in a specific days a week. So I think what started as a jarring movement has now become more of a tool, just one tool in the ability to create hybrid work environments which ultimately will increase productivity, I think, and make for a better work-life balance for employees.
Got it. Do you feel like when you meet with customers, they know what their hybrid work return plans are, or are these still in question?
I think that they were knee-jerk reactions a year ago, even a year and a half ago. I think now what's happening is people are putting statistics and metrics in place and are measuring what is necessary to maintain the highest level of productivity. I think
Yeah.
that's what Zoom did. You know, Zoom knee-jerked and said our product is perfect for everyone to work remotely. And after 2.5 years of everyone working remotely, they probably had a lot of measurements and determined that actual work productivity was not 100% better with 100% of people working remotely.
Yeah.
And we found it too. A hybrid model, I think, is a better. The question is what ratio of hybrid, and I think that's down to each company evaluating and taking the time to evaluate maximum productivity. For Panterra ourselves, what I chose as a metric is not just work productivity, but work-life balance productivity. So instead of, for example, forcing employees to travel or commute 2 hours a day, 1 hour to work, 1 hour back, and wasting 2 hours of their precious time with their families, it was better, and you get more long-term productivity out of your employees if you give them a work-life balance that's maximized as opposed to purely a work maximization.
It's also going to, I think, threaten our ability to really understand productivity is AI, right? I mean, I people are beginning to produce. We struggled with measuring productivity in purely hybrid environments, based on output versus a work output as opposed to time in office, right? In a lot of ways, I mean, we still, I think, many businesses struggle with the idea that it used to be that the person who was getting ahead was the first person to arrive and the last person to leave, and I think we've agreed to try something else, but I don't know that we know what the something else is yet. You know what I mean? And the challenge now that we're going to have is, all right, is the person who produces more work in 2 hours with AI because they're better with it, or, more capable or more attuned to using it, more productive than the person who works 10 hours but produces less work than the other person? Like, how's that going to come into our measurement around productivity in your mind?
I think AI is an incredibly interesting topic. It's another, I think, revolution. I think people will all acknowledge there's an opportunity and a potential for it to be revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
But and I think in the end, and I don't know if I'm the minority or not. I think initially it's a tool, just like unified communications is a tool. It's a tool to be used. It can be manipulated and used for higher levels of productivity. Uh, it can be a tool that's misused and abused as well. And we've seen several cases in the industry. The lawyer that took AI results straight off the bat without validating the references that it created, which were all false. So it's like any other tool. If I'm writing code and I want to create assembly language, I can hand code it, or I can use an assembler or a compiler. If the compiler is accurate and I can use it as a tool, then it saves me time over hand compiling it. So AI is going to be a tool. I think where it gets really interesting is when AI becomes really powerful and the guardrails or lack of guardrails can create macroeconomic, political, geopolitical havoc. So I think that's a real concern. I think there are a lot of technology CEOs such as myself that sound that alarm, and I do as well. So we have to, it's a tool until it gets abused and becomes something greater than a tool for either good or bad.
Is it fair of me to ask your feeling on government involvement in regulating AI?
I have mixed feelings. I track this quite a bit. I have really mixed feelings because, it's so powerful. It's like if you have some governments regulated and other rogue governments that don't regulate it, how is that going to work?
Yeah.
So, I leave it to those super intelligent, the father of AI. There's going to have to be irrefutable or irreplaceable guardrails created that can't be um, essentially removed in my mind, or else AI has a real chance of becoming something that none of us want it to be.
Yeah. I've made the equation on this show a couple of times when we've gotten into AI discussions. It's very Asimovian. Um, the immutable laws in iRobot are very, very much like kind of where we're going now, right? And I wonder, who, to your point, who's going to be the one to administrate it? It's probably going to have to be the tech companies because, comparing what individual governments are going to do is going to be very difficult. And
Yeah,
limiting.
the key word in your statement was immutable, because if
Yeah.
they're not immutable, some rogue
Yeah.
tech company is going to immute them,
Yeah.
or mute them, I guess is the word.
I'm with you. Well, I'm with you. And I'm sure you, like everybody, in tech, has got some feeling for where and how AI fits into your long term planning. Uh, I want to get to changes you've made over the last year, but do you care to comment? Is there anything, how are you guys looking at AI, at least in terms of how it potentially becomes part of your product?
Yeah, we're certainly looking at it. We're doing some evaluation and some prototyping. We certainly see the standard usages of virtual assistants, virtual receptionists as things that can be implemented with AI. But two areas that I'll tell you that I have my keen eye on is using AI to much more effectively and efficiently implement administrative tasks. So we're working on an AI powered administrative portal for our system, which will allow administrators to much more quickly interact with the administrative portal in a natural language, natural voice methodology, and simply
Mm-hmm.
say, I want to create a new location with 10 users in Omaha, Nebraska. And the system will literally do everything for them
Wow.
and ask appropriate questions when it needs to. And then the same thing with our analytics portal. So imagine, instead of having to have to statically create reports, being able to use natural language and natural voice to simply say, show me the top 10 users with the longest queue times over the past month. And the AI analytics portal will just automatically create that. So we're trying to look at where AI can, again, our whole premise is don't use technology or introduce technology for technology's sake, but do it to actually improve the end customer's productivity, efficiency, or ease of use.
Makes perfect sense. Well, let's get back to let's jump back to what's changed since we last met. I mean, we were all kind of coming on the back heels of the pandemic, and you shared a lot about improvements that you had made in your product at the time. Some of it was leaning into some features, supervisory features around video. Uh, but let me just start by saying, what's new? Hit me with the top level on some of the things that you guys have pursued over the last 12 months.
Yeah, I think from what we're pursuing on a product side and solution side is to expand our solutions, to refine our solutions. I think it broadly falls into three different areas.
Okay.
The first area is our Connect video conferencing platform. As we talked about last time, we continue to expand the feature set. We did talk about last time about supervisory mode, which is essentially bringing over the ability to silently listen or join or even barge into a video call the same way you would do an audio call. We've actually expanded that capability so that now a supervisor can not only supervise a monitor, the host of a session, but he actually can supervisory mode anyone in that session that he has access control or supervisory mode capabilities. So if there's a salesperson that's actually the host of the meeting with an end customer, but the sales engineer is actually giving the presentation, and the supervisor wants to be able to whisper in the sales engineer's ear to give him some coaching or text him privately, he can do that. So we've expanded that capability. We're actually about to release full transcription, full captioning capability as well. So we're continuing to expand the business tool set of Connect, the video conferencing platform that we have. The second area is that we've introduced and have fully deployed our Teams integration solution, which is really much more than just providing a connector solution to Teams where we would be the back-end telephony. What we've heard time and time again, especially in the mid-market, is that the Teams telephony backend is not as feature-rich as they want, and is more cumbersome than they want. And so we've actually created a solution called Teams plus Streams, which is the best of both worlds. It's the Teams user interface on the front end, but it's all of the telephony features of Streams in the back end. So all of the ring groups, hunt group features, all of the call recording features, dynamic call recording features, all of the auto tenant and IVR customizations and customized applications that you can create in our app designer. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the best of the Teams interface, and you get the best of the telephony features of Streams. Okay. And so that's been a big win for us. And then the third area, in order to expand our product set and provide more of a solution for our customers, we've actually signed an agreement with Five9 to sell and integrate the Five9 contact center solution into our Streams solution. So now you not only have UCaaS solution, call center solutions, but also contact center solutions. And we're finding that breadth of product and solution is a real plus and benefit to those mid-market customers we're attacking.
Got it. Let me hit on a few things in each one of those. Let's start on video conferencing. You know, you guys have really, it's understandably, because we've had the conversation, but if I'm a casual listener, I'm looking at Artie and I'm going, it seems counterintuitive for a company, you know, Panterra network size to be developing video features when this is the stuff of Microsoft and this is the stuff of Cisco. They're spending their time there. I wonder, you know, I guess my question is, have you found, is it your belief perhaps that, you know, we've just kind of accepted the video that comes along with these collaboration solutions as good enough, and we're really not innovating to the level that we, you know, historically had on video conferencing specific solutions?
I don't know if that's my observation. I think my observation is the large companies, the Microsofts, the Ciscos of the world, are falling into the same pitfalls of their video conferencing platform that they have in many of their other solutions, which is gold plating, complexity for complexity's sake. And that was accelerated by the pandemic. So what happened is they were throwing every feature they could possibly think of. I was actually on a Teams call, and I don't want to pick on any particular competitive product, but I for the life of me, couldn't figure out how to just even get like a grid layout. I figured it, you know, there was every other layout but a grid layout, which is what I actually wanted, was a grid layout. And so the complexities of their products have come to the point where especially mid-market customers, they're looking actually for simplicity and ease of use and end-to-end solution. They care more about an end-to-end secure solution than they do about 6,000 widgets in a
Got
breakout
it.
room, which they're not
Okay.
even using.
That's fair. That's fair. Although you have, chosen to spend, I just want to point out, this isn't a question, it's a statement, time sort of developing a deeper feature set around this sort of supervisory interjection, barge in modeling around the video conferencing solution that you have. Because why do you think that's something that sounds pretty unique to you guys, at least from my understanding.
Yeah, it is unique to us, and I'm not sure why that is, but it was a feature fully driven by our end customers. I mean, we
Yeah.
weren't actually going to deliver that capability, but time and time again, especially our call center customers and our higher end, larger customers, they basically drove us to that solution. So when we get customer driven feature sets, we look at them pretty hard because that's one of our benefits is that we can react fairly quickly to a feature requirement by an end customer.
Mm-hmm.
And the breadth of that solution in terms of the impact over our customer base was virtually 100%. We ourselves, we do probably 25 to 50 supervised sales calls a day
Yeah.
with that solution. And we have already measured results, measured analytical proven results where our close ratios went from more in the 30% to more in the 50% ratio.
Because you're able to do that supervisory look in on the video call.
And because usually at this point, most closing calls especially with larger customers, 50 to 100, 200, 500 user customers, the end call, the last call or the last couple of calls happen in video.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
have
it's an interesting thought, right? Because you're just accustomed to the phone system having those kind of barge and supervisory features, but customers don't want to have phone calls with you anymore. They're not buying with you that way. They're buying with you. They're buying from you when they see your face.
correct. And usually those C-level people or high-level people, you got them on that call once. You don't get them on the call 3 times. There's no follow-up on those closing calls. So to be able to answer a question because the supervisor was able to provide that information to whoever the presenter was in real time, or to be able to barge in and be able to, answer the question as an expert when the C-level person was asking for an expert's answer in real time, significantly improves the closing ratio.
Well, that's a real interesting thought. We'll leave that one as a takeaway. Video conferencing solution that's got closability because it's got a supervisory functions. That makes sense. Tell me more about Teams integration. I mean, as I said, we've had all the UCaaS platforms that are of substance on this show since our last last meeting that you and I had, and Teams integration wasn't something that you were as a platform were focused on. Last year, or perhaps I would imagine you were already building it, but it wasn't part of the story yet. First off, I would say, kind of why did you join them, right? What did you see in the market that said, hey, we have our own platform that can stand on its own, but we should also have this. And then the second one is, why engage in sort of a hybrid solution with you guys than, choosing a more native Teams approach?
So I would say we didn't join them. This is another example of how we took customer input or prospective customer input. So it's really more an issue of, do we want to offer a solution that expands our market share, that actually expands our reach, and allows us to offer the Teams plus Stream solution when we would not have even had the opportunity for that particular customer. So it was very much a prospective customer input. We also listened to a lot of our partners, such as Bridgepoint, that was saying that Teams is here to stay, and here are the deficits that we see with the Teams solution. And a lot of the competitors are not addressing those deficits in the telephony. They're not offering a hybrid solution. They're offering an either or, like our solution or their solution.
Well, yeah.
And so we said, okay, so what do you want? What is the ideal? And they said, well, the ideal is to have a hybrid. And so that's what we worked on was delivering a hybrid solution. So it allows us to get in there, and I'll give you a quick example of how that helps us. So first, having the Teams plus Streams, as I said, expands market opportunity. So we get into opportunities where we didn't even have the opportunity to quote or bid or compete in that particular deal. Having the Teams plus Streams allows us to differentiate against many of our competitors, but more importantly, it allows us to deliver the best solution to our end customer. And anecdotally, we've even had a few customers where we've sold the Teams plus Streams solution, and during the onboarding process, we have to actually introduce the Teams user interface to show them what the back-end telephony solutions are. And during that presentation of the Streams interface, these customers have actually decided to go 100% Streams and actually kicked out the Teams part of the solution. I think may have been for cost, may have been for complexity. And I'm not saying this is the majority by any stretch of the imagination, but we actually do have evidence in customers that say Streams actually does everything we need Teams to do. And so why are we really even trying to put the two together? So it's really all about how can we solve the end customer solution as best as we can.
Sure. So, without, I mean, obviously you guys are partners and, co-opetition at the same time. What are the areas where a Teams native voice solution falls down, at least with your prospects and customers when they would want the hybrid solution? Like what are the use cases? What are the things that, you are amending into the solution that makes a Teams plus Streams solution viable to an end customer?
I think that the biggest thing is when the customer is like already on some kind of hosted UCaaS platform and Teams has come in and sold Teams. And so now they're getting off of the UCaaS centric, telephony centric provider onto a Teams. And then they get surprised at the primitive or basic nature of telephony features that the fully Teams integrated telephony solution has. And so they say, well, wait, I'm used to having ring groups. I mean, there are no ring groups. I'm used to having hunt groups. There are no hunt groups. I'm used to having dynamic call recording and a portal for managing my call recording. And there are other features that are either limited or missing in the Teams only telephony feature set. And so they either are missing those features because they had them before, and so they're looking for them. And then when they see our Teams plus Streams gives them exactly what they're looking for. They get usually the high level, C level people have decided they want the Teams user interface, but they don't understand what it means with respect to the telephony backend. They just sort of say, make it work. Yeah. And so we give them that solution. We give them the make it work part.
Yeah. The execs want to go all Teams until they realize that their assistant can't answer their phone for them and park the call for them to be able to go. I get that. Let me ask you,
that hunt group, sales hunt group doesn't even work anymore.
Yeah, completely. Let me ask you about devices. Because I think there's a couple schools of thought as we return to hybrid work, right? Yes, we've gotten very accustomed to working this way with a microphone in front of us and maybe a headset on. But there are businesses that have large investments in handsets, SIP handsets in the location. What is your strategy in that integration? Are those handsets registering to you and you're doing a direct route to Microsoft, or are you registering handsets to Microsoft and you're just powering the back office?
Yeah, no, they register to us. The DIDs register to us, and then we route them over
Okay.
there. And we see one of the other benefits that we have in this environment is, we support multiple locations per user. So they can actually have a home office location, a work office location, a mobile location, a hotel location. And that's unusual. We're one of the few providers that actually supports multiple devices and multiple locations.
Got it.
So they can have an IP phone at home, an IP phone at work, an IP phone at a hotel location, maybe where they travel to a West Coast office. And that all can be within the Teams plus Streams user environment as well.
Got it. What happens if those handsets are registered to you? What happens if Teams is having a bad day, as as Microsoft has, been known to have? Are you're operating next to it, so you're still operating, you're still taking in calls, you're still bringing handsets?
Well, remember, people who want Teams want it for the user interface,
Yeah.
right? So they're opting not to use our user interface. They're opting to use a Teams user interface. So if Teams goes down, your Teams user interface is going down.
Yeah.
So we do have our application, and some companies may choose to run them kind of both, one as a backup.
Yeah.
And that means training on the other user interface. So, that's not going to be the prevalent mode. The prevalent mode is they're going to be pissed off because Teams just went down.
Yeah. Got it. So do they, but I mean, you still have the ability, I guess, those handsets are registering to you, not to Microsoft, though.
Right. So they can make a call, but they're not going to see it in their user interface. They're not going to see presence. They're not going to see messaging. They're not going to see anything in their, depending on how it went down.
Yeah.
I mean, if it went down not in their telephony part, if it went down in their, presence engine or something like that, maybe more limited to the failure mechanism.
But I'm going to ask you just one more question kind of about the business and what's happening, since then. When I was on the website, I saw kind of a call out to what you guys called secure and compliant cloud phone systems. And we've, now that the COVID free pass is over, frankly, we meet with a lot of customers who are kind of getting back to, doing the diligence to ensure that they're compliant with their various regulatory concerns, generally in either PCI or HIPAA in some cases, some other regulatory scenarios. I'm curious what you mean when you say secure and compliant cloud phone systems, and what's unique about that?
Yeah, I think one of the things having cloud as our DNA, not starting off on-premise, but literally starting in the cloud. We took an end-to-end solutions approach to delivering the solution, and that really means, as a result, we take an end-to-end approach to security. So we're not just securing the cloud service itself, but we're securing end-to-end. So that means the connectivity between our service and your locations, be they remote locations, individual homes, office locations, and the devices and network that's inside them. So we take an end-to-end approach. So everything is secure from the phone device, from the soft phone, from the PC or notebook that you're interacting with, all the way through the connectivity into our service and then back out. And that's pretty unique to us. We do other things to really improve security. For example, I'm sure everyone is aware of that video bombing on video calls is still prevalent. If I have a link, in fact, if I gave this link that you just gave me if it accidentally got out and people put it on the web, everybody would be joining this session.
Yeah.
And passwords are only as good as you keep them secret. So if you gave somebody a link and said, here's the password, by the way, to get into my link, and I took that whole email and put it out there, I can video bomb your session. With us, we actually implement full multi-factor authentication, even on the video conferencing sessions, on the Connect sessions. So I could give you the link, I could give you the password, you're still not getting into my session because it's going to be multi-factor authenticated. So unless you have my email or unless you have my phone number or text message, you're not getting into that session. So it's an optional ability. So we always are looking at how to secure our tools and services to the highest degree to give our end customers confidence. So whether it's being fully end-to-end HIPAA compliant, being fully PCI compliant, or whatever compliancy we need, along with our ability to integrate our solution with whatever security methodologies, Active Directory, whatever else they have, an end customer might have, that's always how we're thinking about security.
Fantastic. Artie, this has been really a great catch-up conversation. I'm glad we really dug into it. I have two fun questions to end with, and then I'm going to let you get back to your day. These are different fun questions than the fun questions I asked you last time we were together.
Oh my gosh.
The first one is, I may have asked this, I'm not sure, but maybe your answer has changed. But I don't think that I did. I just a shameless, some kind of prediction, 18 to 24 months. You just talked about AI. Maybe that's where it's going to be, but what can you share with me about what you think is going to happen next?
Yeah, I don't know if it's shameless as opposed to concerning to me, but
Sure.
I think AI is going to have a strong blip of implementation and throwing stuff out there that we're already seeing with ChatGPT and everybody and their brother's uncle getting on the AI bandwagon. I think it's going to show its potential, but I truly think over the next 1 to 2 years, the political, economical, geopolitical influences are going to cause AI to really go into chaos.
Okay.
Because I think it has, when you have something that has the power that AI potentially has without the proven ability to have guardrails, it's almost like climate change. And I don't want to get into that topic, but there's a tipping point.
Yeah.
And if you get past the tipping point without the guardrails, that's going to be a problem.
I'm with you. Great book, by the way, Tipping Point, which was the next question I had for you, which was, is there something that you are reading right now that you'd like to share with or have read in the past that you'd love to share with our listeners that is, on Artie Chang's end table?
Yeah, I think you asked me this last time.
Did I?
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's the same answer, which is I'm not a big book reader. My eyes are just not what they used to be.
Yeah.
So I'm a voracious news intake kind of person.
Yeah.
And I would say, I love challenges. So I would say what I've been doing is doing some running with my wife, who we've completed together 95 marathons.
Get out of here.
Well,
95.
95. Okay, she's done 91, and I've done 4. But who wants to get to that detail? It's just we've both done 95.
Yeah, I hear you.
So that's a true statement. So I stand by it.
Okay, good. I love it. So you're clearing what you're recommending then is that, maybe put down the book and clear your mind by getting a good run in.
Yeah, I'm actually saying, and I really promote this within the company that work is only part of life. Life is work and a balanced work life, and we really promote that. We really want to prevent burnout at Panterra, and it starts from the top. I live it that way. And I hope you and your listeners and everyone else will also remember that, life is all about experience, and it's not just about work. And we're trying to provide tools that allow you to more productively create a work-life balance that's productive in both sides of that equation.
Yeah. Sage words. And with that, and we'll leave it at that. I don't think we can improve upon that final statement. So, Artie, we will certainly make sure that folks know how to get a hold of Panterra Networks. And you're obviously on LinkedIn as Arthur Chang. If someone wants to link in with you, we would recommend
There you
that. Panterra Networks is panterranetworks.com, right? The full,
Right.
yeah, panterranetworks.com. Okay, well, great. Well, listen, this was an amazing session. It was great to get caught back up with you. Congratulations on the new grandkids and more to come, and impending nuptials and all the other things that you have going on in your crazy life with 10 kids. It's always good to see you, and I appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks so much for this. It's really been this is a great podcast.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Artie. Listen, if you made it this far, there must have been some good content, or you're just a fan or a relative of mine. In either case, we appreciate you spending your most valuable asset with us, your time. We don't take that lightly. We'd also like to say one more time that we're appreciative of Bridgepoint Technologies and their belief and sponsorship of this show. We hope that if you or someone you know is thinking about your company's digital transformation, or simply the next IT project that you may not have the resources, budget, or time to get to, I'm sure that Bridgepoint, one of the country's fastest growing technology advisory and procurement firms, can help. Check out bridgepointtechnologies.com. Don't forget the E on Bridgepoint, or simply reach out to me at Skinka, SKINKA, at bpt3.net. Also take a minute, please, if you would, to give us a 5-star review on your favorite platform. It helps give us the visibility to reach other people like you. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Bridge. I'm Scott Kinka, and until next time, there's a lot of noise out there in business and in life. Do what you can to be the signal. Thanks.